why is it easier to do things for other people versus our own projects? There's two types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic is carrot and the stick. If I do this, I get, an apple. If I don't do it, I get a stick to the ass. Intrinsic is I do this because I really enjoy doing it. This is not new to me, but just by chance I was watching a Jerry Seinfeld commencement speech, and he talked about, he said, for the young generation, he's like, your two issues are losing your sense of humor and thinking too much about the money. Think about having a cool job. Like, you should think about actually enjoying the thing. And he had a part where he said, people say when they're dying, they say, I wish I hadn't worked so much. And he's like, I don't. Like, I love my work. You should have cool work that you actually, when you're dying, you're like, yeah, that work was awesome. I had a ton of fun doing that. And that is something that I've realized over the last however many years, learning to love the day to day in the process. So when people ask me about a certain career or business they could do and they're really focused on the outcome, the money, I'm like, you're never going to succeed in it. You need to focus on you actually love doing the thing. One of my good friends here is a YouTuber, and he built a very big channel in Spanish on politics. It's, I think, the probably the biggest in the world on it. And then essentially he got very much betrayed by these partners he was with that he had actually brought on, like it was his business, he made it. And I can say this because I was with him when he came up with the whole idea before they were partners. Like, I don't think he's allowed to say it because, like, legal stuff, but like, I just from my own experience was with him when he came up with the business before he had partners. So he was backstabbed or whatever, in my opinion, and he started a new channel, and it's already like better than the one that had like 6 years running and has a whole team, and is just like crushing it. And you know why he's able to do that? Because he loves making videos. His whole goal, when we met, he was a graphic designer, and we met at a co-working space. He was asking me, like, we'd talk about freelancing advice, and I gave him a few tips or things like that. And he just said, I wanted to do something with video. Like, he studied film at school and he loved video. And his biggest personal passion is politics. So he just combined his skill of film with his love of politics and made this thing. And I never once has brought up money to me. Like, I've never heard him talk about money, finance, anything like that. Because he just like he's like thinks about making great videos, and he loves the topics and he loves doing it. And, it's worked exceptionally well for him. And that's intrinsic motivation, which is what we all want. Now, that gets beat out of us around age 4 or 5 by teachers in most academic systems, and then our parents who offer us money for grades or a treat, or, if you don't get a good grade, you get punished. If you get a good grade, you get a reward. It is not possible to have both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation at the same time. So basically what happens is, if you have something you love doing and then you're given a reward for doing it, you'll naturally stop enjoying it for the sake of the task, and you'll be focused more on the reward. So when you're working with external deadlines and other people, you have some kind of extrinsic motivation. That can even just be the personal relationship accountability, right, with it. For yourself, it becomes more intrinsic, like to enjoy the thing. Especially in the early stages when you don't have any external accountability, like publishing deadlines, or, for instance, when you launch this line of bags, if you choose to do that, if you have stores being like, hey, where's the next designs, then you'll have this extrinsic motivation with your own business as well, right? But that early stage for your own thing, you don't have the extrinsic motivation yet with it. And so there's a couple solutions for it. One is leaning into the intrinsic motivation, which is what I try and do with writing, for example, is just telling myself, like, just be present today with this chapter, what you're gonna like, enjoy writing this, enjoy editing this, and actually make it about the process. That's how I tend to operate most, but not all of the time. Then the other part is you can bring in extrinsic motivation to your own business, which is when I think about, like, sometimes I need a boost of energy, and I will think about how great it would feel to be praised. Like, I'll imagine someone reading the book and be like, this is amazing, or like it's selling really well, or someone saying, oh, you wrote that book, like at a party or something. And I'll play to my own ego, which, if you live on that, is not very healthy. But when you've had 2 writing sessions, you're tired and you want a third, that ego can be a great tool, right? Ego or greed can, like, be a source of energy with it. And so people who operate only based on external rewards are going to die unhappy usually, right? But that does not mean they can't be great tools to give you a boost of energy, to think like, yeah, I want to take this cool trip, or I want to be praised, or I want to go by a store and see my bags hanging in the window and people like talking about how great they are. As long as that doesn't consume you or become the only thing, I think that's a good energy to tap into as well. And yeah, so I would focus on those 2 tools, like being very present when you're designing or creating your own stuff, and just telling yourself, I'm going to take an hour and a half, get rid of your phone, internet, like things you don't need that are distracting, and just tell yourself, I'm just giving myself time to be present and to create. And then, if you need it, getting extrinsic motivation from more like the ego stuff, like imagining your own success, imagining how great it will feel, imagining how wonderful it will be. Like, that's a totally fine, normal thing, right? Uh, I love Midnight in Paris. I watch it at least a few times a year, and there's the great scene with Hemingway and the writer where Owen Wilson is being very timid, and Hemingway's like, "If you're a writer, damn it, declare yourself the best writer." And then he's like, "But you won't be as long as I'm alive, because I'm the best." But like, there's a thing to that, right? And we all know those like narcissistic artists. Prague has many who are like not good at all, but they're like really good at promoting themselves or like pushing their work. And I think we're turned off by that, right? We're like, I don't want to be that person. But then what happens is the people who are actually quite talented never promote themselves. And the narcissist kind of fake artists end up dominating the scene because they are more like business people than actual artists, and they push themselves out there. And so in a way, it's like an obligation of the artist, like the truly talented one, to either get someone else to help promote them or to do it themselves. And yeah, the part I didn't mention, which I'm sure you've thought of and heard, is the idea of like setting up carrot and stick rewards for yourself, like treating yourself like your own employee. Okay, you're going to get this much done today, and then you get a candy, or like then you get this, or sometimes there is something for that. Like, it can be useful, but I think what I mentioned are going to be much more powerful than that. But there are times, like, I've done it occasionally where I there's a few things I really need to get done I don't want to do, and I'll just say, when you get these done, you get to go watch a Fast and Furious movie or whatever, and I'll like literally use that as my reward, and it works. Like, I do get the thing done. You just don't want to train yourself to be like this puppet that needs like, you know, constant rewards all the time, because long term that's not how you want to be, but short term that can also be a decent trick.